We have started to record the most recent session of SPCH 1113, Introduction to Public Speaking, for the first summer session. We are recording a little later today due to computer updates. It is Wednesday, June 15th, 2022. This is Persuasive Speech Day 1. I have a number of presentations that I'm going to play, but I want to go through some material that's related to course data before the end of the semester from Blackboard and from my Yahoo email address, primarily because I want to make certain, as we are racing to the end of the first summer session, that everyone has all of their material turned in. I don't want to penalize anyone for an honest error in sending something to either the wrong address or double checking your sent file. It's really important that all of you make absolutely certain that whatever you're going to send has been sent to me, because whatever that material is, I want to make sure that we play it and critique it in class. And with that in mind, let's first of all go to Blackboard, because I want to remind you not only of this week, but of wildcard speeches coming up next week. And I should indicate before we go to Blackboard, because a couple of you have asked me about this, that a wildcard speech is totally your own creation. We've done demonstrative, informative, and persuasive presentations, but I've always felt that a wildcard speech was a really good way to end the course, primarily because there are so many items of interest that you have, and they might not necessarily fit into either of those first three categories. 5 years ago, I switched from having a group discussion as the final project to a wildcard speech, primarily because of that idea. There's always going to be something that you would like to share with your classmates for one reason or another that just goes by the wayside. Now is your opportunity to maximize your creativity. But let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. Let's focus on persuasive speech data and also what's available for Blackboard research. The syllabus is first. For the benefit of all of you in an online course, I believe this repetition is so handy, just to always remember that I update the announcements daily, in this case for the week of June 13th through 16th. If you're like me, you're going to be looking at videos all the time, front to back to front, anything that you send to me, anything that you do not send me, and of course, the course videos. But in this case, at the syllabus, let's first of all examine the itinerary. What's going to be coming up over the next week plus? This is the rest of the term. Persuasive speech, day 1, persuasive speech, day 2, followed next Monday, June 20th, wildcard speech research. June 21st, Tuesday, wildcard speech topic selection. June 22nd, Wednesday, wildcard speech, day 1, and June 23rd, wildcard speech, day 2. During a summer session, students usually have access to Blackboard to watch course videos or go into the Grade Center for a maximum of 24 to 48 hours after the last day of class. I'm not making any guarantees that the wildcard speech grades or what we're doing for class participation, the student evaluations, the speech critiques that you're looking at yourself are going to be in the Grade Center, but at least what we're doing for persuasive speeches will be available by Monday of next week. So that's the setup for the remainder of the 19 course sessions. Then back to the syllabus. Always keep in mind, other than computer updates, I'm available Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from noon until 2 p.m. live here at Blackboard to provide assistance, answer questions. On especially the graded speech days, we're going to look at all of your material in great depth. Now let's scroll to the point allocation, 90 80, 70. And this is why I was indicating at the outset to always double check your sent email files, which I'll be getting to in a moment. The website, which you've seen with a link, my Twitter feed, which you've seen with a link, and electronic submission of any of the speeches to my Yahoo email address or to my SAU address, with both links provided, are really helpful. For your benefit, one more time this week before we get into persuasive speeches for day one, we're looking at 100 points total for the course. Demonstrative, informative, persuasive, wild card, all 20 points each. The self-evaluation speech critique at 10 points, class participation at 10, for a total of 100. So start thinking about right now two different things. What you might like to talk about for your wild card speech Wednesday and Thursday of next week, and an honest evaluation, which is a realistic appraisal with the second bullet point of personal improvement during the course. That triad, which you're well aware of by now, content, delivery, and visuals. Then everything that you do is going to be available in the class videos at Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. Day one, day two, you guys are the stars. You can see it last week with informative, and then the first week with demonstrative. And then you scroll back, you can see all of the class sessions in their totality on these two pages, and it formats exactly the same way at the professor's area on Blackboard. So everything that you see here, take it to heart, because it's really important for your long-term improvement and, most importantly, self-evaluation from this class on as a public speaker. What you take from this class is going to be vital, even if you're not involved in the communication or media field or the teaching field for the rest of your life. Ironically, that will be our first persuasive speech topic. Anything that you have here is going to be filled in relatively quickly. So let's make certain that we all finish in style. And one of the most important elements of finishing in style is that video review of previous courses, but I think most importantly, yourselves. Back to front, front to back. I say it all the time, but that mantra really is important. With that in mind, let's go back and look at bits and pieces from yesterday's class session. What we were looking at yesterday were primarily from my website, from Google Drive, keeping in mind that 48 hours ago, when we were examining persuasive speech research, it was from my YouTube channel. Yesterday, it was persuasive speech topic selection, most of the time from Google Drive, a little bit from YouTube. For the record, let's incorporate bits and pieces of yesterday's course session into the record. We pick it up, as they say in media terms, in progress. It is Tuesday, June 14th, 2022. Today is listed as persuasive speech topic selection, as the persuasive speeches begin tomorrow with day one, and on Thursday with day two. Please make certain that all of that data gets to my Yahoo email address on time. As you're well aware, the term is going to end in 9 days, Thursday of next week. It's important that all of you stay up to date with giving me projects. If any of you have issues with connectivity, always check your sent email file to make certain that you have sent me the proper material, whether it be Loom or a link to YouTube. We're coming along quite nicely, like I said at the end of class on yesterday, but now let's make certain that we finish strong, Pat. And we're still with online education 1.0 or 2.0. Imagine by the time your kids get to college, what will online education look like? What will it sound like? What will hybrid education look like? Because as you're well aware, during the pandemic, not only were individuals being taught in the classroom live, But many individuals, myself included, taught exclusively, like I am during the summer, from home, but did not include audio. She narrated over it. This is interactivity from a website. So 7 years later, the Airbnb website is still operative. Missouri, Michigan, Georgia, Wisconsin, Pittsburgh, Texas, not all that far away. And there's Austin, College Station, Lowell, Arkansas. Videos. Let's go back about a minute. Let's mute the audio and go back to about the 5-minute mark or so. Now just watch. About Kent being embarrassed. Is she speaking in complete sentence structure? Pretty much. When you're conversing, it's not unusual for us to use contractions. But I wanted to play it with the audio down here, primarily because notice her finger. She's got an effect which leads into the next slide, and how she takes the video, probably from her cell phone, and incorporates it into the slides. Look at her eye contact. Very likable, very authoritative, conversational, not a lot of issues with vocalics, drop G's. How she's setting up the video, and let's bring back the audio.
2, 3, 4.
Just kidding. That was the one of us playing Pie Face. This one is the Uno one. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Because I always say it, the more you practice, the more you work to the camera, it just becomes second nature. Like being conversational, like being extemporaneous, everything eventually is going to blend. That symbiotic relationship of talking and reacting to the camera is going to just be second nature.
Set a goal, you are basically telling yourself where you want to be in the future. And when that happens, you are able to allocate the set amount of time and energy in order to achieve that goal. And in doing that, you are automatically directing your focus because you have a starting point and an end point, and you are focusing your eyes on that end point, and immediately you begin to alter your life in ways to
also shows your willingness to participate outside of class. Learning new skills and knowledge. College isn't just about getting a degree and getting out. Many people learn so many things not only in their majors but also in the prerequisite classes.
We'll do that for you. See if there's someone that's passionate about recycling that you know. Another easy way is to get a Brita filter in your dorm instead of buying water bottles all the time. It's going to save you money because eventually, if you think about it, buying that a case of water bottles every couple of weeks, it eventually adds up.
From Finley, and then when you go in reverse order, here at the website are audio, video, outlines. We spent a lot of time, of course, on that. Creators with representative samples of what you do for each of the 4 major graded presentations, whether it be outlines or audio or video. They'll eventually wind up at some place on my social media imprint so individuals in the future can learn from you as you're learning from individuals. We are now 6 classes away from the end of the term. Let's make certain that we finish in style and that you submit what you think are the most appropriate elements of your improvement as a public speaker. We will continue with day 1 of persuasive speeches tomorrow. Good luck with your respective speech preparation processes. As for SPCH 1113, Introduction to Public Speaking during the first summer session of 2022, that concludes the recording session for today. Can you tell I'm a media person because I love playing those videos? You're the content creators, whether it be first summer session of 2022 or a lot of the folks that you've seen really since the onset of the pandemic. And you'll also remember that I've been videotaping speeches back when it was called videotape since the beginning of my academic career, witnessed by the first summer 1994 video of Andre Muljotti talking about the information superhighway, which you know as the internet. But before we get to our persuasive speeches, I want all of you to see what my Yahoo email address account looks like whenever you're sending me documentation. And I should indicate that I'll probably also stick in my SAU email account because some of you are sending me material there. I do this on the course videos primarily because once in a while somebody will say, Professor Reppert, did you get my documentation? As of right now, as I am recording on Wednesday, this is what I have in my Yahoo account. We'll hold that for just a moment. This is what everyone has sent me during the term. Any data which originally was in my SAU account, you'll see on the far left-hand side my name instead. But starting in the month of June, many of these names you'll recognize from this class. Let's use Elizabeth Ellie as an example. When she sends me her persuasive speech, that's what I see. She's the first person that we're going to be watching shortly. Her title is, quote, Why Children Should Attend Preschool. Let's take a look at Scott. His persuasive speech, whenever he sends it to me, that's what I see with a preview on Loom. His presentation will be second. It is titled, Why the Moon Landing Couldn't Be Faked. The next person that we are going to be watching this evening is Mariah. And she has this presentation, and she also down here has another. Let's go ahead. Now that's Mariah, one, and here's the other. She has her demonstrative speech, which we'll probably be taking a look at tomorrow. I do have the video up on Loom, Mariah, but I just wanted you to know that I did receive it from my SAU address and forwarded the link here. That's for your benefit. This is what it looks like when she sends me her presentation, which is third on texting and driving. The fourth individual that you're going to see tonight, because it is evening as I record this, still technically Tuesday, is Cornisha. And this is what she sent. Her Loom looks like in my email account. Her presentation is titled Reason to Do an Extracurricular Activity. We also have from Henri Wright, her presentation, which is informative, and I'll put that up on the screen so you know, and I need to double check where this is. You can see, Henri, that you did send me the email to my SAU account, and that is the link to Loom. And this is the interesting thing about Loom. We've seen a number of different presentations that have been sent to me on Loom by Scott, by Mariah, by Cornisha, and by Henri, and they don't necessarily all look the same. And that's interesting just from the standpoint of, you would think if Loom's going to send something out, like with Scott's, there would be a universal look to the email, but that's not the case. Now let me do one more thing before we begin our presentations. The first persuasive speech is going to be a YouTube video from Elizabeth or Ellie. Let me show you, because I believe in transparency, what my email account looks like right now on SAU, and it looks like someone literally just sent me a video. As of Tuesday, this is what my SAU account looks like. Some of the names that you see on the left-hand side: Zamori, Mariah, Henri. Some of you in this class are still sending me stuff to my SAU address. And as you can see, Bracelyn just sent me a loom of one of her presentations. So this is what I do. I will forward this. Everything is content, being a media person. I will forward this to my SAU email address. And I'll show it right now. Going to return to my Prof. James Reppert SAU at yahoo.com account, and I'll show you how I do this in case anyone needs to send material only to my SAU address. When I go to the inbox, or if I refresh it, here's Bracelyn's material, and then I will move this to my SAU address for the speech course, and that's what it looks like. Now, all of you are going to see this in real time. I open this up, and there's Bracelyn's presentation, and this will open in a different window. Why you should stand up to bullying. I'll show you what hers looks like. We'll still do these in order. It just means that we'll have 5 presentations rather than 4, which is also the reason why the leftover informative speech on mental health issues from Henri Wright and the leftover demonstrative speech from Mariah Easter I'll play at the end of class on Thursday. My focus right now is persuasive speeches. Let's put the link that Bracelyn literally just sent me Tuesday night, or I should say Wednesday night, on the screen. That's what hers looks like. So we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different presentations in order from Elizabeth or Ellie, Scott, Mariah, Cornisha, and Bracelyn. You didn't see the presentations. I have a number of tabs up on Google Drive, so I'm double checking to make certain that everything is in the proper order, which brings us to our first persuasive presentation for Wednesday. Ellie is doing hers. I'm going back and forth between that and Elizabeth. She is recording on YouTube. This is what her visual looks like. And Ellie, I should say that anything on YouTube, as you're well aware, I always put into the closed captioning mode, and that's where we have it set up. So our first presentation of the evening that is persuasive is why children should attend preschool. And here it is.
Hey everyone, I'm Ellie Burgess, and since I'm in school to be a kindergarten teacher, I decided to do my persuasive speech over why you should send your children to preschool, which will help me in the long run as a kindergarten teacher. There's a pretty big debate over whether or not to send your children to preschool. Pro-preschoolers argue that there are lifelong advantages, such as less likely to be arrested, you're more likely to graduate high school and college, and you're less likely to struggle with substance abuse in the future. People against preschool argue that parents should care for their own children at young ages, and there aren't many academic benefits after second grade. So after second grade, usually children are on the same level academically, whether they went to preschool or not. But socially and behaviorally and maturity-wise, there are differences between those who attend preschool and those who don't. So I teach students aged 2 to 5 at dance. I see many differences between those who attend preschool and those who don't. So preschool age students need structure, which they will receive in a preschool program. Structure teaches them order and organization, how to know what's expected and when it's expected, and routine. And these students are going to need to know how to have a routine if they're going to be successful in kindergarten, because in kindergarten they have the same routine every day almost, and that's what students need to learn when they're in a preschool program. If they're at home, you need to teach them that routine, because that's one of the most important parts. So teamwork. This is one of the areas where I see big differences between those who attend preschool and those who don't. With teamwork, they learn sharing, communication skills, and problem-solving skills. That my students at dance who attend preschool are much better at working together and talking to other people and talking to me, talking to adults. They're much better at that than those who don't attend preschool. So behavior. Preschool students gain behavioral skills such as responsibility, helping others, how to behave around others, and maturity. Maturity is a big one. Those students who don't attend preschool are much less mature than those who do. This is the main area where I see differences between those who attend preschool and those who don't attend preschool. I have to get on to preschool students far less than the students that don't attend preschool, because those students who attend preschool have those behavioral skills and teamwork skills and structure, and those who don't have those skills, and they will be far behind in kindergarten. Pre-math and pre-literacy skills. Preschool students learn important math and literacy skills needed for kindergarten. Kindergarten has gotten much harder than it was in the past, and there are far more skills needed to succeed in kindergarten. Preschool students work on alphabet songs, rhyming words, stories, and then they work on math things such as math games, counting games, and sorting games. These will all be important when they go to kindergarten, and it makes them less likely to fail kindergarten and get held back and graduate a year later. So in conclusion, there are many advantages to sending your children to preschool. They develop skills such as structure, teamwork, behavioral skills, pre-math skills, and pre-literacy skills. So in my opinion, I think you should send your children to preschool one day when you have your children.
Okay, Ellie, excellent job. The one thing that you have to be very aware of, though, is time management, because remember, on the syllabus, the minimum time is 5 minutes. So what you can do in some of these points, and I thought you did an excellent job all the way through with content, delivery, and visuals, is possibly spend a little bit of extra time on some of those sub-points or on some of your main points. But that being said, I want all of you to notice how week by week I don't necessarily look at the videos the same way intentionally. Let's go back to the beginning. With the audio muted, 2 elements of quality delivery with the audio down: eye contact and persona. Is her eye contact, considering the fact that we're in an online course, whether it's on YouTube or Loom, is the eye contact relatively full, considering that, again, you're not doing it in a face-to-face course? But then when we're looking at the persona, does she come across as poised, authentic, smooth in terms of delivery? We can see that the graphics the images for the visuals are neat, they're concise, and most importantly, they're design consistency. Let's watch the first 30 to 45 seconds of her presentation with the audio down, paying attention again to eye contact and persona. The complete sentence structure, which I had not mentioned, is apparent at the bottom. She's got the logistics down. Obviously, there are notes in front of her, her laptop off to the left. Now, we can't necessarily clearly see the bullet points, but I'm not that concerned because, especially when you're recording on YouTube, you have to do the best you can under the circumstances. To me, that's the beauty of Loom. But then depending upon what your preferences are, that may not necessarily be your preference, and that's certainly acceptable. Eye contact, consistent. She's being extemporaneous. She's being conversational. The self-confidence that each of you portray in a relatively short period of time, from demonstrating to informing to persuading, as you can see in her case, and we watched a little more than a minute, is quite obvious. Now let's go to roughly the last 1 minute of her speech and pick up the audio. How is she concluding? Here we go.
Pre-math and pre-literacy skills. Preschool students learn important math and literacy skills needed for kindergarten. Kindergarten has gotten much harder than it was in the past, and there are far more skills needed to succeed in kindergarten. Preschool students work on alphabet songs, rhyming words, stories, and then they work on math things such as math games, counting games, and sorting games. These will all be important when they go to kindergarten, and it makes them less likely to fail kindergarten and get held back and graduate a year later. In conclusion, there are many advantages to sending your children to preschool. They develop skills such as structure, teamwork, behavioral skills, pre-math skills, and pre-literacy skills. So in my opinion, I think you should send your children to preschool one day when you have your children.
So it's a strong conclusion, and she is reinforcing her thesis at the end, keeping in mind that the title of her presentation is Why Children Should Attend Preschool. And yes, Ellie, I do see on the screen that you have hey. Notice, in this case, for persuasive speeches, we're playing the first minute with the audio down, the last minute with the audio up, and whether you're in Loom or whether you're in YouTube, from this format this week, I put on, if available, closed captioning. Are you speaking in complete sentences? Do you have that self-confidence? And I don't get caught up, as you're well aware, in individual point allocations, because if there are ever any issues with the 4 major graded presentations that you're improving on during the term grade-wise, if you're doing it properly, the self-evaluation speech critique can easily be 10 points, and the class participation can easily be 10 points. So that's like interest on a checking or savings account at the end of the semester with the overall allocation of 100 points. But do we see, in this case from Ellie, improvement as a public speaker? Does she come across as being persuasive? And the answer is yes. That brings us to our second persuasive speaker of the class period. This is Scott on Loom, Why the Moon Landing Couldn't Be Faked. We will make this full screen in just a moment, but that's what his title slide looks like. Why the Moon Landing Couldn't Be Faked. Name, course, term, webcam bottom left. Nice setup here. Why the moon landing couldn't be faked. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Scott Graves, and today I'm going to convince you, without a doubt, why the moon landing couldn't have been faked. I have heard many people in my life that I thought were very rational who claim that the moon landing itself was fake. This is just not something that I can believe. To get some background on the moon landing, you must first understand the space race. After the end of World War II, the Soviets and the Americans did not like each other very much, and they went into the Cold War arms race. However, alongside the arms race, there was the space race, which roughly lasted from 1955 to 1975, a rough 20 years. The goal of the space race, the finish line, was to put a man on the moon. Now, why do people think that the moon landing was fake? Many people said that the US just wanted to win the space race against the Soviets, get a one-up on them. Other people claim that the technology wasn't advanced enough at the time to do so. And a lot of people fall back and claim that the photos and videos taken on the moon were actually faked. To start off with, the photos of the moon and the videos would be impossible to recreate. Now, to start off with, we'll talk about the brightness and the long parallel shadows. This happens because the light source itself is the sun, which is roughly 93 million miles away from the moon. This causes the long parallel shadows on the ground. To get these shadows recreated in a studio, you couldn't do it with simple studio lights. The shadows would diverge. The only way you would be able to make those same style of shadows was with a wall of so many laser lights stuck together that they would look like pixels on a TV screen. You would need millions of these laser lights, which were not very easy to come by, especially because of the fact that the commercially available laser lights were all red. This means that if they would have tried to recreate it, it would have looked like a bad imitation of Mars, give or take. So many people fall back on the fact that the moon landing photos would have had to been digitally recreated. And yeah, while today we have the technology to have digitally recreated the moon landing photos, in 1969 they had none of that. They didn't have advanced computer graphics like we have today, because those were roughly 40 years away from being made. They didn't get made almost in the mid-2000s. So, if these moon landing photos were faked, let's say in a scenario that they were, how many people would have had to keep quiet about this secret? To start off with, you would have over 400,000 NASA employees at the time, which, you know, I've tried to keep a secret quite a few times, between 5 people, and that's not easy. There were independent scientists from Australia, Spain, and England who all said that they caught the broadcast coming from space. And most importantly, our rivals in the space race, the Soviets, it's been 50 years since we landed on the moon, and never once did they claim that we faked it, which, you know, they'd be the first people to claim that. So a lot of people would fall back on, well, there's no tangible proof that we landed on the moon. Actually, there is. When the astronauts went up to the moon, they left a set of retroreflectors in certain positions around their landing point. What retroreflectors are what scientists use to measure the distance from the Earth to the moon and at different points during its rotation and revolution around the Earth. They shine a laser at these retroreflectors, and the laser reflects back to them. Not only that, but if you go and look through a high-powered telescope, you can actually see the American flag that was planted on the surface of the moon. If you zoomed in far enough, though, it wouldn't be red, white, and blue anymore, because the sun would have bleached the flag to be completely white, as there's no atmosphere on the moon. So, for the moon landing to have been faked, they would have had to develop computer graphics 40 years ahead of time. They would have had to convince multiple governments to lie on the US's behalf and contain those secrets for 50 years, and also somehow get retroreflectors and a flag onto the moon without actually going there. At that point, it'd just be easier to put a man on the moon. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope I convinced you that the moon landing was indeed real.
Two very solid efforts so far. First from Ellie, and now from Scott. You can see from each of them that they are more poised, more professional, more at ease in front of the camera. And once we are done evaluating Scott's presentation in the same way that we did for Ellie's, Scott, I'll give you some friendly advice on how you can improve the lighting with a very inexpensive ring light. Got no bearing on your grade, but just something to consider for the future. So in this case, as we did with Ellie, we'll put the closed captioning on. We always do it for the YouTube speeches. We'll mute the audio and then take his presentation and bring it back to the beginning. Now let's just go ahead and watch this as we did with hers from the standpoint of the poised nature of the delivery, the eye contact as much as possible, keeping in mind that our first presenter was looking into most likely a cell phone on YouTube, and he's looking into a webcam, more than likely on a computer or a laptop. Webcam, bottom left, very useful that he's placed his timer right next door, so he's not going to get shifty-eyed. He doesn't have to look around. One of those things that as time goes on with Loom, the comfortability factor really comes into play. Let's go ahead and start. With some of these presentations, and you may have noticed it when we were examining a video of yesterday's class period with a fall intersession 2020 presentation, Persuasive, on how you can set your goals from Finley Blair. The background of her video was similar to Scott's in that you could see an overhead fan. It's not that big a deal. It's something that you can see. Complete sentence structure. Clear, concise, relatively extemporaneous considering the circumstances. Artificial intelligence, as you saw from that last sentence, does not always coincide with the words coming out of your mouth, but it's better than nothing. A very persuasive case made that the moon landing wasn't faked, because then you get into the conspiracy theories and all different kinds of stuff that he says. Whenever we're thinking about the technology used for the moon landing, look at your smartphone. The technology used to go to the moon in 1969 probably had less power than your smartphone has today. Back in the era of slide rules, many of you probably don't even know what a slide rule is. Digital calculators really only came to the fore right around the time that I was graduating from high school. So that's about the first 90 seconds. His presentation was roughly 5:42. So let's go to near the end. 4:42. Let's pick up the audio like Ellie with the closed captioning on and check out his conclusion.
That was planted on the surface of the moon. If you zoomed in far enough, though, it wouldn't be red, white, and blue anymore because the sun would have bleached the flag to be completely white, as there's no atmosphere on the moon. So, for the moon landing to have been faked, they would have had to develop computer graphics 40 years ahead of time. They would have had to convince multiple governments to lie on the US's behalf and contain those secrets for 50 years, and also somehow get retroreflectors and a flag onto the moon without actually going there. At that point, it'd just be easier to put a man on the moon. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope I convinced you that the moon landing was indeed real.
With each of our presentations, in his case, why the moon landing couldn't be faked, and with Ellie's, why children should attend preschool, each of them provided thoughtful, persuasive conclusions. And also, whenever you're looking at the storytelling ability of the slides, they're always going to be different. Scott has all different kinds of text image balance as we go through his presentation. I didn't do this to the same degree with our first presenter because it's a little bit more challenging to see a laptop on Loom. But you get the idea from all of this that quality research went into it. The moon landing was indeed real. And I just wanted to say before we get to our third presentation of the day, Scott, I have all kinds of light that I use in my living room, but I also have this, and I want everyone to notice because I did this last week. That is a $12 ring light that I purchased at Walmart in Magnolia. It's really designed for selfies on your cell phone, but it's got a clamp. And that clamp, it's got a long snake arm to it, and it's got 3 different types of light. The type of light I use is very similar to what you would find with a fluorescent lamp, and that's the style that I have on right now. But it was only $12 at Walmart. So it's something that any of you who are taking online classes in the future with a presentational aspect should consider. Like I said, it clamps right on my monitor, and I have a 31-inch monitor. I have a very nice 1 terabyte Hewlett-Packard computer with a 31-inch monitor, and then I've taken my Logitech webcam and placed it right on top with that 21st century miracle called Happy Tack. So my background would ideally look as perfect as possible. Something for all of you to consider. 2 excellent persuasive speeches so far, but Ellie, you can make certain that your time is a little bit longer. I won't penalize you this time though. Our third presenter is Mariah with a topic that has been used before in this class, but it's very timely. Texting and driving. Our third presentation of 5, and here we go.
I did my topic on texting and driving. People don't think about texting while driving until after the fact, and it's not a good thing because anything can happen at any given time. When you're driving and someone texts you, most of the time you're going to respond. It's just the automatic reaction and habit that most of us have. But what happens when you're the one driving and you look down to text someone and you look back up and you're in a wreck or in any type of accident? Then you want to think about it. Well, it's too late. Do not text and drive because it causes accidents and people to lose their life. 60% drivers said they text while driving or check their notifications. There was 66% that said they have their phones within arm's reach. About 500 fatal crashes happen each year as a result of texting and driving. I'm going to show a video on this girl named Liz. She's a teenager. She's a good student, and right before her 18th birthday, she was driving and she looked down to read a text from her mother, and she looked back up and she was in an accident. I'm just going to be skipping through showing bits of it. So here she's just talking about how her life was before the accident happened. She was just living life and having a good time. She talked about her friends and stuff.
I didn't realize that she loved her phone as much as she did. I use my cell phone every second, every minute, every hour. Like if I didn't have it, I would freak out because I couldn't connect with my friends, I couldn't connect with anyone, couldn't connect with like, social media or anything.
And that's how most of us are. We think that we have to, as soon as we get a text message, we think that we got to respond instantly.
If I didn't have my cell phone, I felt lonely. I would ask her all the time, "Liz, do you text and drive?" And she said, "No, Mom, I swear I don't. Don't worry, I don't lose my phone when I'm behind the wheel." I wasn't worried about texting while driving because everyone else was doing it. So I thought it was okay. I thought I was invincible. But really, I was completely wrong. I was getting ready for work, and then 12 hours later, in ICU, staring at my daughter with blood and tubes running in and out of her body. And it's just overwhelming devastation over a stupid text. The consequences of my life now after the accident. The fact that I'm blind now, I cannot smell, I cannot hear ever again.
And through the rest of the video, she's just talking about how her life is now and how it was after the accident. Things to help you stop texting while driving. You can easily put your phone on do not disturb. It don't take that long. Just push a little button. Um, put your phone out of reach. So put it out of arm's reach. Or if you have someone with you, you can easily have them text for you. Or if it's really that bad, just park somewhere real quick and text them back. And as you can see in this picture, this is what one woman is doing. Here are 4 pictures of people texting while driving and what the outcome is. As you can see in the first picture to the right hand corner, you can see the car is crashing into the phone. Being on the phone, it crashes, and that's what it's showing. In the top left hand corner, you can see that he's finna run over someone, and the person is saying stop, and he's on his phone. The bottom two left and right corners, you can see that the driver has ran over a person, and once that happens, you can't take it back. So it's good to just put your phone away. Here are 2 quotes. In a split second, you can ruin your future, injure or kill others, and tear a hole in the heart of everyone who loves you. If you've been driving for a little while and nothing's happened to you yet, and you've been texting and driving, you think, oh, nothing's going to happen, but all it takes is an accident happening with one of your friends, or God forbid, something happening to you to really give you a wake up call. So, texting while driving, it can wait. And that's the end of my presentation.
Now, I want you to pay attention first and foremost to the way that she's got her webcam set up. Notice that in Mariah's case, as what we saw first with Ellie and second with Scott, an obvious improvement in the way that she presents herself on camera. Very poised, knowledgeable, thoughtful, believable, persuasive. There are a couple of items that you have to work on. Let me talk about this first. When you are giving a presentation, please make certain, because not everyone has done a slideshow presentation in the past, whether it be on Microsoft PowerPoint, Google Slides, or any of the new technologies that are in the marketplace right now. Make sure that you go slideshow from beginning and we get rid of all this. That way you're not clicking on each individual slide. Please make sure that you're doing that for the wildcard presentation next week. Now we'll leave it there for just a moment. And now we'll continue on. I wanted all of you just to visualize that, because we've all been in the position where may have forgot to put the slideshow in full screen mode. But I don't want to see this in the future. I do like the fact that you found a place for the webcam and left it alone. But again, keep in mind, we should see any of these slides full screen. Let me go to a slide and then come back to the video and the audio. I'll leave it there for just a moment. Let me move back there. For some reason, Mariah, it's not your fault. I've noticed this in other Loom videos in both the beginning and advanced public speaking courses. The audio from interactivity is not always user-friendly when you are using it in a graded speech, and I don't know why. And it's got no bearing on your grade. It can be very frustrating when any of you take the time and effort to put interactivity into it, and we'll go ahead and play this in real time with the audio up, and you can notice on the course video how the audio changes. Now there we're at full screen. Check out the video. Now listen to the audio. When it starts, you should be able to hear it, and then it gets weird. So you can hear bits and pieces of it. Now let's go ahead and mute the audio so it doesn't matter. And I don't know why that happens. Maybe it's just an anomaly of the technology. But she maintains eye contact all the way through. This particular setup does have closed captioning. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's check out Mariah's complete sentence structure. And this is where, being in the slideshow mode, all of this should be full screen. We shouldn't see any of this. Double check this for your wildcard speech. I won't dock you any points right now, but if I see this for the wildcard, I will. None of this should ever be on a screen. So practice in advance. Look at her eye contact. Very poised, coming across as professional, and then the link, do not text and drive. In this particular case, make certain that it is TEXT, right in complete sentence structure. Nice research. About 400 fatal crashes happen each year as a result of texting and driving with the link. And that's the first minute of her speech. Now, as we have with our first two, let's go to roughly the last minute and play it with the audio back up. How is she wrapping up her remarks?
Bottom two left and right corners, you can see that the driver has ran over a person, and once that happens, you can't take it back. So it's good to just put your phone away. Here are two quotes. In a split second, you can ruin your future, injure or kill others, and tear a hole in the heart of everyone who loves you. If you've been driving for a little while and nothing's happened to you yet, and you've been texting and driving, you you think, oh, nothing's going to happen, but all it takes is an accident happening with one of your friends, or God forbid, something happening to you, to really give you a wake-up call. So texting while driving, it can wait. And that's the end of my presentation.
I mentioned this last week and I'm going to repeat it. It really is best to not move your webcam during the speech. What you do in the advanced preparation is you move this. This should already be set up in some particular portion of the screen, and then you work the graphics around it. But I don't want any of you to be in a position where you have to take the webcam and move it around. You'll recall last week that was a little bit of an issue with an informative speech, and you're really not seeing it here. Work the graphics or the images around the webcam and not the other way around, because it will get distracting. It wasn't the case here. You did a nice job of improvement, but as time goes on, that just becomes something that you figure out. First and foremost, where do I want my webcam? What's my topic going to be? And how can I take my data and work around it so nothing gets in the way of my persuasive thesis on the importance of not texting and driving. However, what you saw in this particular case from our speaker Mariah, as what we saw with Elliot and Scott, was obvious improvement. You did see that when we were starting the last minute of the speech, and I'll put that back up right at around the 5:44 mark, I believe there was a vocalic. I'll mute the audio. I think there was a vocalic on the screen, and it started off with Let's see. Right there. It's a small thing, and all of you are improving. Helpful to look at all of these in closed captioning before you send them to me, and then in time, all of this is going to be diminished. So obvious improvement. There's still work to be done with content, delivery, and visuals from each of our first three presenters, but I am not going to blow smoke at you. We're coming along quite nicely. Our fourth presentation of the day, have this in the right order, is from Cornisha. Here's her topic. Reason to do an extracurricular activity. And most of us in high school were involved with these. And let's go ahead and begin her presentation.
Hi, my name is Cornisha Griffin, and I will be doing a persuasion speech on reasons to do an extracurricular activity. What is it? An extracurricular activity can be academic activities, sports, student government, community service, fun hobbies that you like to do, and educational clubs. A reason to do an extracurricular activity is to just get away. If you're a troubled teen, you can get away from street life or a bad neighborhood. Or you can get away from toxic households or your parents and siblings or any other family. Or you just might want to run away from a bad environment. Another reason to do it is to meet friends. You can build a long-lasting friendship. You can have a friend to do a specific activity or club with you. Friends come and go, but I met two of my closest friends through basketball. And I have friends on the basketball team, but I don't talk to them outside of this sport, but we're still friends. I join many clubs in school as possible, and I have friends in each one. Another reason to do it is to expand your horizon. To open, and by expanding your horizon, I mean open up to new things and try something different, and don't limit your choices. If you have already done something, do it again, but different to have a new experience. Another reason to do an extracurricular activity is you can learn essential life skills, communication. If you do any sport, you gotta have good communication with your teammates, time management, creative and critical thinking, and you will need creative thinking art club. Problem solving skills, you need that in like a student government, cooking skills, and patience. Okay.
And that is the end of the presentation. And I'm not exactly certain why we don't see your face. We hear you. The audio was a little bit low at the outset. But let's go back, and I don't see here that it's allowing me to put it in closed captioning. Let me get to the end of the presentation, and we'll just do in this case, we'll do the last 45 seconds or so of audio. And one thing that, Cornisha, you're going to really have to be aware of is time management. Because if you are significantly under the minimum of 5 minutes as listed on the syllabus, that's going to affect your grade. Maybe not by much, but this is where all of you, when you decide to send something to me, you need to make certain that you're as close to 5 minutes as possible. Don't feel like any of you have to rush through your data. If you ever feel that you're going to be short on time, then over prepare. Have 1 or 2 extra slides. Talk about personal experiences, but the time has to be longer than under 3 minutes. But that being the case, let's listen to your conclusion.
A new experience. Another reason to do an extracurricular activity is you can learn essential life skills, communication. If you do any sport, you gotta have good communication with your teammates, time management, creative and critical thinking, and you will need creative thinking art club. Problem solving skills, you need that in like a student government, cooking skills, and patience. Okay.
And you can see from the presentation that she's put a lot of time and effort into the slides, and we see her there. And I'm not necessarily sure what the issue is with not being able to place your face on the slide, but as you can see, that was a presentation that she made before, and there is a gun violence speech, but just feel free to experiment. Let's take a look at some of her slides. And really, to incorporate the timer and also to incorporate your face, just experiment. I'm sure you'll be fine, Cornisha. But here are some of her slides. She talks about life skills, all of that data. And if you want to include personal experiences with expanding your horizon, or back here for the life skills, that's going to give time to your presentation. It will assist in keeping you extemporaneous and conversational. But I think in this case, you just have to be concerned about time management. And then this graphic we talked about before, make sure that you take that off the screen. There's expanding your horizon one more time, and then we move back into the first 90 seconds. Meeting friends, come and go. Again, personal experiences will help you fill the time. Same thing here. And then what is it? Academic activities. You'll probably want to make certain in the future that you are consistent with your spelling for all of these. If sports and fun are going to be capitalized, then educational, community, academic and student should also, from the standpoint of consistency, design consistency, as I mentioned on the speech evaluation form, also be capitalized. Even something like "what is it" could potentially be in boldface, even though it is in a larger font style. And there is your title slide. So there are issues that can be addressed. I don't call them errors, as you're well aware, I call them issues. So that's what your slides look like. And then when we get all the way to the end, that's what we see. We see your face, and I'm not sure what the issue is. There's your face in the timer. I'm sure, as I indicated before, there's a way to incorporate all of that into your presentation. So those are 4 of our 5 speakers for now the late evening. As I'd indicated, computer updates over the past couple of days on my device. Bracelin will be our final speaker for day 1. You recall that we saw this in real time from my SAU address to my Yahoo address and putting it on the screen. Why you should stand up to bullying. After this, we'll be talking a little bit about tomorrow's activities, and here we go.
Hi, my name is Bryson Glover, and I will be doing my persuasive speech over why you should stand up to bullying. So, first, what is a bully? A bully is a person who habitually seeks to harm or intimidate those who they perceive as vulnerable. So basically, someone that the offender looks down to, they think is beneath them, under them. They don't think is enough. They don't think the person can defend their own self, which will get me into this. What is considered bullying? Bullying is when someone repeatedly and on purpose says or does harmful things to another person who has a hard time defending him or herself. So again, the offender looks at the victim as if they cannot defend themselves, and it becomes bullying when they're repeatedly doing the same thing to hurt someone and hurt someone. So then it becomes bullying. So what are examples of bullying? There are 3 main types of bullying: verbal, social, and physical. One type of verbal bullying is name calling, like calling someone booger nose or smelly or something like that. Another type is teasing. I personally think that teasing can be social or verbal. Teasing, you could be in a group and you could tease someone about not having what you have, and it could be verbal by the same thing. I just think that it fits into both groups, honestly. The last example I gave of verbal bullying is making fun of someone. Making fun of someone can be like making fun of the clothes they're wearing, how they look, comparing them to something that they don't look like, but you feel as if they look like, and just making fun of them, the shoes that they have on maybe, or, things that they most of the time don't have control of. The second type of bullying is social. Spreading rumors is a type of social bullying, like going around, especially schools, going around. An example would be going around saying that someone peed on themselves when in reality they really didn't pee on themselves. So now you have everyone looking at this one person and laughing at them and stuff, saying that they peed on themselves and calling them nasty or whatnot. And another type of social bullying is leaving someone out on purpose. So purposely leaving someone out. Say an example of that would be like you have a group of people, say about 5 people, and a person come over there and they purposely pick 4 people out the group to come do something with them or to come play with them or something like that. And now you're leaving that one person alone and looking around, clueless, like, well, not clueless because they know exactly what's going on, but, looking around lonely and stuff. So that would be considered bullying. Physical bullying, they really kind of explain themselves. Kicking, hitting, pushing, pinching, spitting. These all would be considered bullying, but these are like more of the top-notch bullying. So what effect does bullying have on the victim? Kids who are bullied can experience negative physical, social, emotional, academic, and mental health issues. Most of the time, bullying definitely results in depression and anxiety. which can be increased feeling of sadness and loneliness. Like the victim is always sad and feeling lonely, feeling like they don't have anyone most of the time. And it can change. They have changes in sleep and eating patterns. So like they're either sleeping a lot or they're not sleeping enough. They're not getting enough sleep. They're up wondering what can they change about themselves. Why them? Why are they the ones being bullied? And their eating pattern changes in many ways. Like they either stop eating or they just eat here and there. But most of the time they stop eating. They also have a loss of interest in activities they would normally do. Like say normally you would go outside, play with the dog, or you would play basketball at recess, and now you're just in your room all day, or they're just in their room all day, or sitting by themselves during rec time, and things along that line. Another effect that bullying has is decreased academic achievement, such as homework, not getting their homework done, and decreased test scores, like in class, they're not studying enough, they're um, getting bad grades on their tests, or things such as the ACT, they didn't study enough for the ACT, so now they're like, most of the time, they don't care about it though. But bullying has most effect in school, so that's why their academic achievement is decreasing because it's happening in school. So they're like, okay, all I do is come to school to get bullied. I don't come to school to work or anything. School is pointless for me. I just come to be sad and get bullied. That's what most of their mindsets are. Another effect is suicidal thoughts. Most suicides in high school or in school period is due to bullying. And I hate to say it, but such young people kill themselves because of how much bullying they're experiencing, which is very sad. And another effect is low self-esteem and fear. Low self-esteem. They feel like they aren't enough. They feel like they're useless, they're worthless in the world. They have nothing to give to anyone. They have low self-esteem and they have fear in them. They're scared. They're scared to stand up for themselves. They feel like if the um, offender can talk about them and things like that, mostly it's not just one offender, there's multiple, but they're still standing up for themselves. They're already scared to, take what's given at them, so they're scared to stand up for themselves. And why is it necessary to stand up for bullying? Like the ultimate question, why is it necessary? Like I said in the previous slide, suicide can be a result of bullying, especially in high school. So you could potentially save someone's life. If you stand up for someone or, make someone feel better about themselves, you could save their life. You don't know if they were planning on killing themselves that night or, that day or whatever. And you might have just stopped someone from taking their life. So you could potentially save someone's life. You could stop the offender from thinking it's okay. The offender, the offender if the offender thinks it's okay, they're going to keep doing it. And they're not only going to do it to one person, they're going to do it to multiple people. So you want to stop it right then and there. You want to say, it's not okay. Like, you want to exaggerate on the issue that it's not okay. And also, they could have the effect on someone else, that someone's always watching. So they could be, the offender could be having an effect on someone else and like encourage them to start bullying or such things. Or someone could just be watching them like, okay, I want to be like them. Like, I want to bully people. I think I can bully people. So you want to stop there right then and there, right then and there, and say that no, it's not okay to think like that. So also, you would not be having an effect on the victim, but you will also be having an effect on the offender, because they shouldn't be thinking like that. And you should also ask them, like, why do you think it's okay? Like, get in their brain and then tell them what they're doing and stop them from doing that and potentially doing it for someone else and potentially from it having that same effect on someone else. So another reason is you can help the victim in many ways. You don't know what the victim is thinking, how they're feeling, or whatever. So there are personal things that you might have helped them with, and there are like some obvious things that you help them with. You can obviously like hype up their self-esteem, make them feel good about themselves, make them think that they are worth something. They are important in this world. So, and you could mostly you can help them with some personal things, some things that you don't even know about that you just help them with by standing up for them or doing something for them to stop the bullying or decrease the bullying. You just probably help them in many ways that you don't even know about. It can also give you a good reputation. If you're going around stopping bullying, standing up for it, I'm pretty sure someone is watching. And not only someone watching, but of course the victim will know like this person did this for me, this person did this for me. So in the long run, the victim will share her story, his or her story, and they will mention your name. Like this is who saved me right here. This is who picked me up, who did this and that. This is this is who like giving, I don't know how to put it. But it will not only um, do that, but you will feel good about yourself. Ultimately, you will feel good about yourself knowing that you have done such a good deed for someone. You will definitely feel good about yourself. And you may ask, what are some steps to stand up? Take action. You want to, um, don't be aggressive. You don't want to be aggressive, but don't be quiet. Speak up. If it's in person, let them know, hey, this is not okay. This is completely wrong. This needs to stop right now. Um, Add like if it's online anything, you want to add certain comments. Like you want to report, like report post or anything. And yeah. Next, do not encourage or help the bully. You may think standing around that you're not doing anything for a bully, but a bully loves an audience. Absolutely loves an audience. They think having people around just should go on and on. Their bullying should go on, and they will not stop. So if you're not doing anything to stop it, don't stand around. Move around or help out. If not, don't stand around because you're just encouraging the bully, even if you're not trying to. Next, encourage your friends to step up. Every voice adds weight. So you you get your friends to help stand up. Their voice matters. Every voice matters. The more people, the more voices. And you also want to encourage them to add comments to help the victim out. Like tell the victim um, good things about themselves. Help just overall help. The more voices, the better. Next, you want to talk to the individual. Let them know that they deserve that they don't. Let them know that they don't deserve the way that they've been treated, and you totally understand like what's going on. They probably don't feel. They probably feel it deep down inside, like, okay, I am a no, but it's not certain that they can feel like that. So you want to reassure them 24/7. You want to tell them like, I'm here for you. And that goes along with the next, be a friend. Oftentimes, the victim could use a friend. They could just use someone to talk to. So you want to make sure that they trust you. You want to be there for them. You want to check on them like around the clock. You want to check on them a lot, encouraging them and telling them that you want to be a friend. Like you want to be here for them. Um, and you want to let them know that you're a good listener. Like I'm here for you. You want to be certain that they know that you're here, that you are here for them, because most of the time they don't have that. Even if it's like their parents, they're scared basically. So you want to be very thorough with telling them like you're here for them and things like that, so they can open up to you. They can come out to you. They can tell you how they're feeling and stuff like that. So next, you want to encourage the victim to get help. So being the victim, you could let me see how I can put this. You want to encourage the victim to get help. So you want to have them to like talk to a trusted adult, a parent or teacher or a counselor. You want them to have them like encourage them to just open up to someone like above authority, above someone, like the students and everything. You want to have them to talk to someone, and if they're like too scared or not comfortable enough to talk to these people in person, encourage them that there are hotlines out here. There are online groups that they can join, stuff and things like that. Let them know that there are always someone or something to reach out to. Next, you want to report the abuse. So even if the report is on a social platform, you want to still report it. You can report it on the social and you can report that in person. If you don't feel comfortable reporting it, or if the victim doesn't feel comfortable reporting it, you can do it anonymously. You want to write it on a sticky note or something like that and say, hey, bullying is going on. This is the bully or whatever. I'm not comfortable with telling you who they're bullying, or the victim doesn't want me to tell their name. So you just want to put it on the desk or give it to someone, give it to a trusted adult, a teacher, a parent, anyone. Just make sure you report it. And if all else fails, if nothing happens, like you feel like nothing has changed, you want to go to the high authority, which is a local law enforcement, because something has to stop. So yeah, if it gets too out of hand and you feel like, okay, the victim is at their breaking point, there's nothing else they can do, you definitely want to go to law enforcement because it's not right. So yeah. Okay, so I hope that this has encouraged you to stand up to bullies and bullying, period, and to help someone out. If you know someone is being bullied and can't really do anything for themselves, stand up for them. Take actions. Be informed. Be aware. Show support. Do all of this. Cut all of the bullying out. If you know someone that is being bullied, give them a hand to hold. Give them a shoulder to cry on, to lean on, or whatever. And I hope that bullying in the future decreases to where it's way down and bullying doesn't even exist anymore, because it does have a big effect on the world today, especially in schools. So thank you.
The one element that comes through with Braceland's persuasive speech on bullying is sincerity. She's providing a lot of advice, a lot of helpful tips, and doing it in a very sincere way. Let's go to the beginning, as we have with everyone who's had the option to give us closed captioning, 4 out of the 5. Let's pay attention to the first minute of her speech. And I put it in closed captioning, and I'm not certain why I'm not getting anything here. There we go. Let's try it one more time. Okay. So in the first part of her speech, let's try that one more time. There we go. And what is a bully? This is where I'd indicated, find a place for your webcam. Do not move it. And also, the awareness that you have on camera. The cursor that you see is not mine. It's hers. Braceland, you need to make very aware of where you are on camera and try not to touch your eyes. Remember, this is a professional presentation. Always be aware that the camera is watching you all the time. Move the cursor. Probably a good idea to take the timer and put it right here, because you ran long and some of the things that you said you basically repeated more than one time. I would say in a class like this, anywhere in the area of 10 minutes is going to be enough. Again, please make certain that you're watching the course videos, because the research that you provide, the persuasibility is there. Now it's still a matter of cleaning up a few things, finding a spot for the webcam, not moving it, losing the cursor, knowing where you are on camera, looking more in the direction of the webcam. Your personality comes through, your likability comes through, the research is apparent, but there are some things that are going to need to be worked on. Let's watch the last minute of your speech, getting around to the 14-minute mark. Let's watch this with the audio up.
Out of hand and you feel like, okay, the victim is at their breaking point, there's nothing else they can do, you definitely want to go to law enforcement because it's not right. So yeah. Okay, so I hope that this has encouraged you to stand up to bullies and bullying, period, and to help someone out. If you know someone is being bullied and can't really do anything for themselves, stand up for them, take actions, be informed, be aware, show support. Do all of this. Cut all the bullying out. If you know someone that is being bullied, give them a hand to hold, give them a shoulder to cry on, to lean on, or whatever. And I hope that bullying in the future decreases to where it's way down and bullying doesn't even exist no more, because it does have a big effect on the world today, especially in schools. So, thank you.
Again, her conclusion, as with most of the speech, is sincere. Now there are some things that we need to clean up, most specifically with delivery. I heard gonna, like, and more than a few dropped G's. We could take that 15-minute time span, 15:05, and easily condense it down to 10 minutes. Because here you've got some steps to stand up to with bullet points, and you were on that for quite some time. Why it is necessary to stand up against bullying. Again, thoughtful perspectives. We just need to tighten up a little bit because time management matters. That's why probably a good idea to take the timer and put it directly under here. Look in the direction of your audience more. Put the timer right here. Find a place to put the webcam and do not move it. Excellent advice with the bullet points. There's an like I said in the previous slide. Examples, again, very well done. Fill up the webcam with your face. That's nice to see. My cursor is on the right. Her cursor is right here. Be aware of that. And we're getting into the beginning of the speech again with her cursor. And there's the title. Now, here's what I want all of you to consider, including Bracelin. I like the fact that she's got the right-hand corner set up for the speech. Title, name, course, when it's being offered. I'd probably, in your case, again, move the timer over here someplace. Don't move the webcam. Work around that. And then when you're watching all of your presentations, including the ones that we don't see, 10 minutes is enough. The presentation that I showed you earlier this week on heartworm prevention for dogs was 11. That was okay. And I think in your case, if you'd gone that long, it would have been okay too, but just tighten it up. Watch the grammar, the drop G's, but there are many good things that you do here. And for all of you, with the presentations that we saw, Ellie, why children should attend preschool. The presentation from Scott, why the moon landing couldn't be faked. Our third presentation, and I'm going back to the beginning of hers, on texting and driving. That was from Mariah. And then we had Cornisha's presentation on reason to do an extracurricular activity. And then what we just saw with our current presenter. Are they all persuasive? Yes. Are there things to work on? Yes. Are they eminently correctable issues? Yes. That's why it is so vital to watch my analyses in real time. And I try to couch them in a positive way. However, all of you have things with content, delivery, and visuals when you're putting everything together that probably can still be polished. Taking the slideshow and making it full screen for one presentation. Tightening up the time, leaving your webcam in one place for another. That being said, I think we're doing some things really well. Before we leave for the evening, let's go to my Yahoo address one more time because I have some stuff that has been sent to me. And I want you to know when you're watching the videos, they have been received. So I believe this is Skylar, and it looks like she sent me 2 different versions of the speech very late on Tuesday, and that's okay, very late on Wednesday, because day 2 is coming up in a relatively short period of time. Which leads me to my final bit of interactivity, which is a return to Blackboard. It is in the student preview mode, and it shows you the video listings so far on Ultra. We are currently wrapping up session 14. Session 15 is going to be in a very short period of time. And from this location, a friendly reminder that at the syllabus, here is the course speech schedule coming up for the remainder of the term. The 1-week rotation exactly from informative to persuasive to wild card. Some of you have been asking me about the wild card, and we will obviously talk a little bit more about that on Monday. I am double checking my email right now, even though you're still looking at something else, and Alexis has just sent me her persuasive presentation, and I will go ahead and put that into the speech file, double check everything to see whether or not I have forgotten any kind of material that I wanted to talk about, and I don't think I have. We're pretty much set up. For the record, come back to me for just a moment. At the end of Persuasive Speech Day 2, I'd indicated earlier there will be 2 additional presentations that were found in email addresses from these individuals. I'll put them up on the screen so you can see them. This is mental health issues from Henri. We'll play that first at the end of class tomorrow. And this is from Mariah, the next presentation that you'll see. So each of you ladies knows that I have them, that they're received. This is her demonstrative speech on CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. So that brings Persuasive Speech Day 1 to a close. Keeping in mind that while I'd indicated that we have improved a lot, obviously, as we wrap things up with the wildcard presentation next week, there's still work to do. Please make sure that on the days of the graded presentations, you're watching your particular critiques closely, more than once. How you can improve your content, delivery, and visuals. Again, I tried to do it in a positive way, but you have to watch them and then practice to make certain that the version that you send me, either on Loom or YouTube, is exactly the one that you want your classmates to see and is recorded for posterity. All of us have shown demonstrable improvement, but let's make certain as we wrap up persuasive speeches in less than 12 hours with Day 2 that we continue that improvement for all of those areas as we enter the last week with wildcard speech preparation. As for SPCH 1113, Introduction to Public Speaking during the first summer session of 2022, that concludes the recording session for today.